Hello everyone, this is the Business back with another video, and if you're a mobile player of Pokemon Unite and you don't know how to do a specific type of ping, you've come to the perfect place. Today I'll be showing you how to do any different type of ping in Pokemon Unite. I'll be breaking this video up into a few different parts, so feel free to skip ahead if you want, but I highly recommend you listen to at least parts of the first part of this video because I think even if you're a new or old player, it will be pretty helpful to give you a nice little refresher on how to best use your pings. So the first section will be on what pings are, then I'll talk about how you can change your pings and the most effective ways you can actually use your pings. Second section, I'll talk about how to mute other people's pings, as well as how to do map specific pings such as let's defeat Rayquaza together. And finally, the last section will be about the hidden pings that took me over a year to find in Pokemon Unite. Maybe you know about them, but these are the pings that are similar to my Unite move is blank % charged. I had no idea how to do them, so if you don't know how to do them, feel free to skip ahead if you just want to hear those parts. But like I said, it might be good to just hear a little bit of this first section just to get a little bit of a refresher on how to maybe use your pings a bit more effectively in your games. So what are pings? Pings are a way for you to actually communicate to your team and let your team know what you're doing. They're not a way of telling your team what to do, but it's a way of telling your team what you are going to be doing in that certain situation. You can't necessarily expect your teammates to follow your lead, but you're trying to hope that they might follow your lead given your instruction. But if they don't listen to you, don't worry, that's part of the game, it happens. Now before we get too far into things, if you want to change your pings, you can actually change them in the settings. You go to the settings, then the quick chat settings, then you scroll down a bit, you find the different pings that you want, you click. There's many different pings available, as you can see. You find a certain ping that you want, you replace it over here by clicking this button, and there you go, you've replaced it. Now, I wouldn't recommend using thanks because unfortunately, the Unite community tends to use it in a bit of a negative way. If you are using it genuinely, that's pretty awesome, but most people don't. These are the pings that I do end up using. As you can see, they're headed to the top path, headed to the bottom path. Let's wait for our allies and let's gather in the central area. So I think these are the best pings available in Pokemon Unite. If you disagree or if you have some other opinions on what you think the best pings are, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'm very interested to hear what other people think. But these I found to be the most effective in terms of communicating to the teammates what I'm trying to do. As I said earlier, when you're using pings, you're not commanding your teammates, hey, this is what you need to be doing. You're trying to let your teammates know, this is what I'm going to be doing. By saying I'm headed to the top path, this just lets my teammates know this is where I'm headed. Maybe my teammates will follow me, I'm hoping they will, but they might not necessarily do that. But where and when do I actually use these pings, and when and where are the best times to use these pings? In almost every single game of Pokemon Unite, I'm using at least 2 pings in every single game. Those pings are headed to the bottom path and let's gather in the central area. I use headed to the bottom path in almost every single game of Pokemon Unite at around the 720 mark of the game. This is just if I'm in the jungle or if I'm in the top lane, I just tell my teammates, hey, I'm headed there. Because in the current state of Pokemon Unite, in the Thea Sky Runes, the bottom Reggie at the 7 minute mark is considered to be the better Reggie to go for. At around the 220 mark of a game, I'll usually use the ping let's gather in the central area. This just lets my team know that I'm headed there because of Rayquaza. Sometimes teammates are busy farming or they're busy fighting. They might not realize that the time is 220 or whatnot, so it just gives a nice little reminder to your teammates, hey, there's a Rayquaza fight coming, let's maybe try and gather for that. Now, if your teammates are not listening to your pings, don't worry, this happens a lot. What you don't want to do is start spamming the same ping over and over, because if you do that, that's pretty annoying. And the worst case situation would be that if you're spamming your pings, that your teammates will actually mute you. And if they mute you, they will not be able to see your pings, and then you're just spamming pings to nobody but yourself. Now, if you do want to actually mute other people's pings, you just go over here and click this button. This brings out this drop down menu, and then you click on one of these buttons depending on the teammate whose pings you want to block. You can't do it outside of the game, you have to do it in game, so that's a way you can do it. I generally don't use it too often, but sometimes people are being annoying and they're spamming a ping such as thanks, so that's how you mute a certain person's pings. Now for a few different map specific pings. Now if you go to this function over here, you click this and you can see the mini-map has suddenly become larger. And if the mini-map has become larger, you can actually click certain parts of the mini-map to do a certain ping at a certain time. These pings can range from a few different things, like if you ping an ally, it will say check it out. I highly recommend that you don't use this ping because this is again sometimes used in the Unite community in a negative manner, so it's not generally the best thing to do. You can also click on an opponent and that will automatically ping let's attack that specific Pokemon. Additionally, of course, you can click on objectives on the map and that will automatically ping let's defeat the blank objective together. You can use this ping on Rayquaza and it works the same way, and you can use this on every single other objective as well. If you click on a specific location on the map while you have the map enlarged, it will automatically ping check it out. I don't use this too often, but there are some situations where I think it could be useful. That specific situation would be when your jungler or the opposing jungler is ganking a lane for too long. You can ping a certain area, such as your jungle or the opposing jungle, and hopefully someone on your team is able to capitalize on that situation and either take advantage of the opposing jungler missing out on their jungler, or hopefully it reminds your jungler to actually go and take their jungle. There are a few other map-specific pings. If you ping on a goal, it will say score some goals. This is a ping that I don't use too often, and I wouldn't really recommend using it that often either because it feels a little weird at times to use this ping, so don't recommend using it too often. I don't use it that much at all. And then, of course, the opposite ping is true. If you ping on one of your own goals, it will say defend our goal. I've actually found this ping to sometimes be a bit more useful compared to the score some goals ping because sometimes the opposing team might be split pushing at the 2-minute mark. Maybe you won the Rayquaza fight but 3 of your teammates are down and the entire opposing team is up and they're all pushing together at the same time. You don't want both of your allies to jump on the same goals. So maybe someone on the opposing team shows themselves to be charging in the top lane, and then both of your teammates jump on the top lane to defend against it, while the opposing team has someone try and run in the bottom lane and score. Now you've completely thrown your game away because you did that. So instead, I would highly recommend that if someone has jumped in the top lane, you can ping the bottom lane and say defend our goal. That will remind your team that maybe even if there are a couple people pushing in the top lane, there might be someone coming in the bottom lane and that they should defend that goal too. Now, I believe those are all the map-specific pings. If you want to talk about the hidden pings now, these are the secret ones, the ones that you have probably been waiting for. These are the pings such as my Unite move is blank % charged. The way you do this is you click on this button here, the comment button, and then you drag it over to one of these. And there you go, Unite move ready to go. This is how you do this ping. And of course, if your Unite move isn't fully charged and you use it in a certain situation, and then you use that ping, it'll tell your teammates, hey, my Unite move is blank % charged, and it lets them know how charged it is. There are some times when you use your Unite move at maybe the 3-minute mark and it's not ready by the 2-minute mark, so I'd recommend using it at some point prior to the 2-minute mark just to let your team know, hey, I'm trying to farm up my Unite move before Rayquaza, this is how much charge it's at. That hopefully gives your team enough time to hopefully not engage immediately and gives you enough time to actually farm your Unite move. Other pings that are available are saying that your moves are about to be ready. I don't use this ping very often at all. There are some situations again where I think it could be useful, specifically if you're playing Hoopa. Hoopa uses Hyperspace Hole, and if you're playing with Hyperspace Hole, I actually think this is a pretty useful ping potentially. You can also use this ping on various other battle items, or even on your Eos energy too. So if you do this on your Eos energy, it'll say I can score a goal for 33 points. And this is pretty useful if you're playing Pokemon like Zacian. Zacian is a Pokemon that needs Eos energy, so this is a specific Pokemon where you would use this ping. But other than Zacian, I would recommend not using this ping too often because if your team is trying to score goals or something, it's very hard to keep track of points. Maybe they're able to see it, but sometimes doing the math quickly is difficult, so even saying those pings might be counterproductive because they might not read them or register them in time, and it will look like you're just doing nothing if you're trying to figure out what pings to be using, so I wouldn't recommend using this ping at all, unless you're playing Zacian. So those are very specific cases where you might want to use certain types of pings in Pokemon Unite. And I believe that should be everything, so hopefully you found this informative. If you did, feel free to let me know. I have a few other guides I've done, a few discussion videos I've done, so if you're interested in watching those, I might have a link somewhere, so feel free to watch those. I also do many other games of Pokemon Unite on this channel, so you might enjoy some of that content as well. But either way, hopefully you all enjoyed, and I will be there in the next video. Cheers.